Take it back.
Oh, so, Mr. President, you want to tell us what just happened?
Someone I think it was tailgating initially, and then he stopped by to...
There is a poster on the side of the car.
Yes, it's on the poster on the side of the car. He just had to drive and meet us. People are excited about the Take It Back movement. So we're heading out to the venue of the event. A little bit of traffic, if you see, and it's raining. A little bit also in Atlanta. If you're at the venue and waiting for us, we will be there very soon. It's been a very long day, but we don't get tired, you know.
Right.
We have to defeat them with ideas and also defeat them with our stamina, and we have plenty of that. So take it back, people.
Take it back.
Take it
back.
Take it.
That's the town crier.
Take it
back.
Take it
Back.
Town crier.
Would you, so one of the questions Nigerians have been asking is about the problems we had with the tankers. Would you like to explain to Nigerians, since we are on the road, what you've observed living in America, the rules that controls how semis drive, at what time they drive?
Can you see that tanker passing by us?
That they have separate speed limits?
They have speed limits, they have lanes. They also have to go through what they call way bridges. Nigeria used to have way bridges. So if they have a certain weight of a certain height, there are certain roads they are not supposed to pass through. But most importantly, we have to constantly check on the health of the drivers of the tankers and also the tankers. There's some tankers that are on Nigerian roads are not supposed to be on Nigerian roads. It doesn't matter whether they are owned by the NNPC or they are owned by some regular Joe somewhere. But because nobody's enforcing highway regulations in Nigeria, the tankers are doing what they like, and because they are owned by very powerful and rich Nigerians. So that's the problem. We just have to ensure that the regulations are very, very serious. We have to limit them to certain highways. We have to limit tankers with certain weights on certain highways, certain heights on certain highways. But in general, and most importantly, we have to fix our infrastructure. That's the solution. Our highways are in bad shape. So since we are going to construct a lot of roads, we'll probably have roads that are particularly dedicated to tankers and roads that are dedicated to only cars. That will be the final solution. It's raining a bit now. And,
yeah.
So
you want to take questions?
I'm going to take some questions. If you have questions for us, we'll take your questions.
All right.
If you have questions, take it back questions. Questions relating to issues we have.
So, Mr. President, so this question is from Sheun Oba Julu. He says, sir, yes, what issue would be priority on your to-do list once you get to the presidency?
I think I've said this so many times already that almost all the issues that are confronting Nigerians today are so important that we cannot have a to-do list that is not a variety of issues to tackle at the same time. But I mentioned particularly security, will be a first priority. Power will be a first priority for us. Health will be a first priority. Infrastructure and education will be priority for us. So those areas we're going to tackle them immediately headlong. Like, state of emergency in the education sector would be ideal. State of emergency in the power sector would be ideal, and health sector as well. So, and so those are just so many things. We're going to start with all of it, a little bit of everything. What we're going to do. But here is just saying that first and foremost we'll stop the bloodletting on the land and ensure that Nigerians are not just killed, or the lives of Nigerians are not, they're more important than those of cows. That is going to be a major priority for us, and it's not going to be lip service of oh, don't think I look like them, that's the reason why they behave like that. Government got to be government, and governments are out there to confront criminals when they are criminals. And where people have been enjoying privileges to kill and go, we'll make sure those are stopped, and nobody is above the law, and our security agencies are not in any way aiding or abetting all these killer groups. So those are things that are very, very important. But beyond that, we have to put food on the table of Nigerians. We are determined to pay minimum wage that is reflective of the living wage for Nigerians. We're just having a conversation with a friend today, and I want to declare that today. On the housing crisis in the country, we're going to make it compulsory for landlords not to charge more than 2 months for rent nationwide. If you are asked to pay more than 2 months for rent by any landlord, we will make it possible for you to contest ownership of that house with the landlord. The landlord who is renting out the house that he built for 10 million naira in 1989 or 1990 for 5 years is ultimately selling that house to the tenant. But that's how it is done here. You pay 1 month deposit and 1 month rent. That way people can afford to rent houses, because not everybody can afford houses before we then decide to build as many units of housing as needed in the house. And I know this is the kind of law that might be difficult to enforce, but we're not going to be the type of government that you can push over.
Next question is from Mandy James. What's the guarantee that life will become affordable in Nigeria?
Guarantee is very simple. We are doing a variety of things, including, providing electricity for people. That way, the cost of production of goods and services will reduce significantly. So, we are doing a lot of support for agriculture so that we can grow our own food. So within the context of what to eat, what to wear, where to find hospitals, we will make sure that these things are provided in a way that they're not going to be problematic. And to make life easier for people who are working, we've already said we will increase the minimum wage, both for federal workers and people who are engaging in youth service, about 300,000 of them, and that will increase immediately the purchasing power, and it will spread wealth. And it's important to explain at this point that because we are clairvoyant, we are finding out that some of the ideas we are pushing now are also getting wider acceptance within the mainstream. I don't know if you read, or some of you read a few days ago, that Richard Branson, the owner of Virgin Atlantic, is proposing that cash be given to people by the US, that people should be paid some cash, even without working, so that's a way of redistributing wealth. And I heard that the guy at Facebook is also in support of it. Finland has already done it, where they are paying people $690 per month. People who don't have employment, although they stopped it now. So some of the policies that we are pushing, that people claim will create inflation, are being pushed by billionaires, who typically are the ones who will kick against this kind of policies as a way of redistributing wealth. So you know, and you see that we are ahead of others. Our ideas are becoming mainstream. The ones that they are not stealing are being pushed by others. We are asking to pay people who are working. We are not asking to hand out cash to people who are not working. But here is Richard Branson saying that it's even ideal to hand out cash to people who are not working, because that's a sure way of redistributing wealth. So you can imagine that.
Yeah, I have a question here from Ayo Ogundimo. That name sounds familiar. What steps will your government take to ensure that everyone pays their taxes, especially the rich who evade taxes, and I'll add corporations too?
Yes, this is a very important question. We've done some research and found out that big corporations are not paying taxes. I would name them. Guinness, for example, is supposed to pay Nigeria about 5 billion naira in taxes every year. They end up paying around 800 million. So Nigeria is rich or changed by about 4.7 billion naira. I've heard about airline companies who are supposed to pay taxes, who are evading taxes. Of course, rich Nigerians don't pay taxes. Everybody knows that. We will ensure that nobody is evading taxes. There are a lot of ways through which they're supposed to pay taxes. And some of it has to do with the waivers we get. Some of them are getting ridiculous waivers. If we plug all the loopholes, we'll make a lot of money that can be invested in social services in the country. The rich who have been enjoying too much from Nigeria would ensure that they pay the taxes that they promised that they're supposed to pay, so that the investment that we need to make in social services and infrastructure can be made as soon as possible. It's either Ose or Oshe Austin. Yes. Mr. Ose. 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 I don't know. Mr. President, how will you secure our borders? We need a war. What do you think? I actually don't think we need a war. I wouldn't go that ridiculous with our borders. What we need is for our border security agencies to do their work. Right now, a lot of border security officials or officers are more interested in lucrative postings. So airport, very lucrative immigration border outlets, which should not be the case. Nigeria has got enough immigration officials, custom officials to police its borders reasonably, and we are not doing that. The moment we can have a commander-in-chief that makes sure that people do their work and they're not engaging in corruption, our borders will be fairly safe. If we build walls, people will still climb through them.
They'll dig through holes.
They will dig tunnels. And as you can see, as sophisticated as the US is, they are passing drugs and trafficking people through their borders, through all kinds of ingenious ways. The most important thing is for us to actually police our borders, and that will make sure we'll do with the existing officers. And if we are lacking in personnel, we hire more to do that.
One is sort of a comment, the other is a question. So, Ikuneme Chukuma says, I have said it over and over again that it doesn't take rocket science to build a nation. After listening to you, please confirm my belief.
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing new about what needs to be done about Nigeria. There's actually nothing ingenious about what needs to be done about Nigeria immediately now that requires a rocket scientist. It doesn't require a rocket scientist to complete a highway that is less than 120 kilometers between Ibadan and Lagos or Kano, Kaduna. And you can imagine, since we've been speaking to these things, they are now doing them. Even though they are claimed before that they had no money to do them. They are releasing funds on a daily basis now to complete roads that were pointed out, that we visited and are bad. And just so we remind them, there's also the Yola Jalingo highway is very bad, so you better release money for it. We went there, but there's no big deal about building hospitals, there's no big deal about hiring doctors. There's no big deal about paying workers living wage, especially when you have your senators who are pretty much robbing the treasury without doing anything, or lawmakers in general.
Okay. Two questions at once. Bumi says, what are your thoughts on community policing? That's one. Then Emerua Christians asks, what is your plan about our sports system? I guess Nigerians are fired up after the events of the World Cup. So community policing.
I've always said that you can't win a World Cup without preparing for it. You know, you can imagine what's happening to countries that didn't prepare for the World Cup. They crash out. You talk less of a country like Nigeria that the minimum, the preparation is at best very lackadaisical. But as I've said several times, I'm a sports person, and I believe in sports as a means of generating revenue, increasing the profile of the country internationally, and also engaging young people to make their country proud. It promotes patriotism as well. A lot of people who are out there these days love Nigeria so much. They would love to represent us, but because Nigeria is such a failed country, a lot of our compatriots are representing other countries and they are winning laurels. So we will have to invest in sports by building sport facilities across the country, by investing in sporting activities, and by making sure that sporting is a very major part of our education curriculum. Make sure that we bring back the inter-house sports system. I love those PE teachers, and Nigeria doesn't even have a functioning national stadium. I think we love soccer, but we don't have stadiums where people can even practice and play soccer. So all these things will be restored back, and before you know it, we'll be winning laurels not only in soccer, swimming. We'll be winning laurels in cycling, in marathon running. I want to see every city in Nigeria have like a marathon event every year. Not only Lagos, we need Abuja marathon, we need Yola marathon, we need Maiduguri marathon, we need Akure marathon, we need Benin marathon, Port Harcourt marathon. So all kinds of sporting activities are out there that, the ones that I actually call low-hanging fruits. So that's what it is. Just ensure that things are moving quite well on the sports side. Like I said, being a sportsman myself, you bet that I know what to do.
Do you play soccer?
I don't play soccer, but I'm a long-distance runner.
Okay.
I used to play soccer, but I broke my leg when I was really young. And I broke my leg a few months before my JAM exam was supposed to be written. I bet if I hadn't broken my leg, I would have passed JAM very well the first time I got admitted in 1988 as opposed to 1989. But if I didn't get admitted in 1989, I wouldn't have become what I became. So maybe there's some kind of...
One quick question from Michael Femi.
Sorry, you didn't answer the question on your thoughts on community policing.
I support community policing.
How?
Completely.
Okay.
But we have to figure out how they're trained, and in an oversight system where you just don't have community policemen carrying gun and doing what they like. Otherwise, it's as good as just allowing armed robbers to be running as community policemen. But it has to be an oversight system, and we have to discuss how to get paid.
Michael Femi, I have two questions for you.
Go ahead.
The first, number one, are you going to change Nigeria international passports? And he said, what's your take about Nigeria Airways?
What would I want to change the passport for? By the time I come into office, we won't be. I'll be working towards using digital passports, so that your passport can be on your cell phone. It's just a barcode. It won't be anything more than that. Not the paper, so that you don't have to go and queue up. I would really, really want to see Nigeria be the first African country to have a digital passport.
20 minutes.
So.
If not, the other vote is not supposed to take us.
Yeah. So that's one. What was the second question again?
So what's your take about Nigeria Airways?
I would love to have Nigeria Airways come back. But it has to be a very productive and well-managed airline. I think it should be a thing of pride to have an airline again. Yeah. Nigeria, by the way, is basically paying for the current airlines by way of subventions. And you know how much Arik took from Nigeria, and they didn't pay back a dime. So Nigeria might as well just own an airline. that flies around the world and that you can travel on and watch Nigerian movies. I think it will promote tourism, it will be national pride, and it will provide jobs for our people as well. Our pilots, steward, I mean the flight attendants, you know, and it will also the people that cook for the airlines, what are they called? They provide job on the ground, you know. So other airlines are making a killing out of coming to Nigeria, anyways. So we might as well just get our own airline. And I'm aware that the current government is planning an airline, but you know this will not be government, so it'll take forever.
Yeah, you say that you support community police.
Yes,
it's fine. But
I don't think it's
in a
recording.
state like currently, looking at what's going on now, when governors cannot pay civil servants, they cannot meet up with their employers. How do you think the governors will be able to pay the police?
Sorry, do we have to restart this?
Not restarted. I think what we'll do is to deduct it from the security vote of the governors at source. So the policemen, because the most dangerous thing is to have policemen who are armed and are not paid. You might as well just arm robbers and let them run. So what the nation needs to do, since the governors are the ones asking for community police or state police or local, we make an arrangement with the states where we deduct the salaries of the policemen at source before they get the allocation from the federal government. We deduct and put it aside. Or my proposition will be that we deduct it from their security votes, and so is the federal government will be the one that is helping to pay those people from, or we have a special security fund for those kind of policing systems, so that you don't leave people who are armed at the mercy of state governors.
Right.
And that will also help with oversight. So you're working with the state governor, no doubt you're a state policeman, you're doing state duties, but your salary is not delayed by an irresponsible governor.
So
that you don't start hiring your gun out to armed robbers as a way of making ends meet.
So to tack onto that, I think someone had asked you a while ago about what you thought of the governors receiving monies allocated to local government. So does that mean it should go directly, right?
To local government, yes.
Yeah. How would you go about that?
It's illegal. What they are doing is illegal. It's just a matter of restoring the legality of the local government.
Which is equivalent to the mayor like we met today.
It's just like this. Can you imagine if the state of Georgia is collecting all the monuments for Riverdale? That means they can't do what they need to do. They can't run their own little democracy. It's criminal conduct.
It's CY Hilario. How will you stop the killings of Nigerians abroad by brutality of foreign police, most especially in South Africa?
The solution to it is to call on the South African government to stop their policemen from killing Nigerians. If they don't, we will have to sanction them. There has to be punishment for that. We cannot allow South Africa to be killing Nigerians or the South African police, or even ordinary South Africans or regular South Africans using Nigerians as for target practice. It will be very compulsory that the South African government is brought into the picture. If they don't, we have ways by which we can force them to become responsible, and I'm not going to disclose that.
Okay.
But you know, the best thing we can do is to respect the rights and dignity of Nigerians at home. If you have SARS killing people, police killing people, why would you expect foreign governments to respect us? So it's going to be both at home and abroad.
Okay.
Hillary, Oba Hillary. So how do we donate stuff to take it back? Like microphone, something.
To do what?
How can they donate stuff to take it back?
If they want to donate anything, they have to just tell us where they want to make the donation from, so that we'll tell them where they can send the donations to. If you're in the US, we can give you an address to which you can ship stuff to us. If it's in Nigeria, we have an address in Nigeria as well where you can ship things for us. And the same for the UK.
And other countries.
Other countries where we have representatives. We have like EU representatives, we have representatives in Italy, Germany, we have in Spain, we have right now in the UK, we have in Scotland, Ireland, we have in South Africa, we have in Australia.
Berlin.
All these people.
Berlin.
Yeah, that's Germany.
Germany.
We have representatives in Ghana. So all these people are capable of collecting things on our behalf. I mean, receiving goods that you might want to donate to us on our behalf, and they send it to us.
Adewale. Mr. President, do you have any policy that will make sure all eligible voters get their PVC compulsorily and with ease? So after this question, we are only taking one last question, and that's it for this session. So would you introduce a policy that makes it compulsory?
We'll introduce a policy. It's actually right now compulsory, but there are other things that we have to introduce, which I will do as a way of policy, is to allow Nigerians who may not have PVC but have other legitimate ID card systems to vote with them. If you have an international passport that you have traveled with it before, that means it belongs to you, and you have your photo on it, you should be able to vote. Even if you don't have a permanent voter's card, what you do is that on the day of the voting, you'll be issued with a voter's card on that day as well, after you have voted or before you vote, so that you become part of the voters' roll. So I think that it's ideal to allow somebody with an international passport, which they've traveled before, to vote. It shouldn't be only PVC, but you make sure that when they are voting with it, they also register to vote on that day.
Larry Alba just tried to correct me. I think I made a mistake. He was saying megaphone, not microphone.
Yeah, still the same answer, right?
Yeah, same answer. Megaphone.
Okay. The last question for today. Awoshika.texmon. Please, what will you do to those thieves in PDP and APC that will want to cross your party after you won? I like this question because he's saying you win. But what would you do if they want to jump into your party?
I don't see any thief coming our way. They know us. And so far they've stayed clear of our movement. So we imagine that they will also stay clear of our party when we choose the party in a few weeks. So don't worry. If they come, we will push them back out.
And I'm sure you run some background check, right?
We do that.
Okay.
And we know the thieves already, and the thieves know us.
Okay.
They are listening.
They are listening.
You know surely well that they will back up.
So, final words, where we are going, who has been taking care of you all day.
In Atlanta, and it's been a little difficult to get there because it's raining really bad in Atlanta. It's really, really bad. Just that we'll be there soon. How many minutes do you think we have left?
15 minutes.
15 minutes will be there. That's what. Yeah. It's really heavy, but we will be there soon. So we're looking forward to catching up with you during the town hall meetings. And tomorrow is Milwaukee, so that's our next stop from Atlanta. We're looking forward to an amazing town hall meeting in Atlanta. We're sorry we're late. We had no control over the rain, and we had to do so many things today. But we're sure that we'll make it there on time, and we'll hit the ground running as soon as we get there. Thank you for watching, And see you soon again on Sahara. Take it back.
Take it back. Take it back. Take it back.